We live in a world where we just expect our connected devices to, well, connect.
Right.
Whether it's some sensor in a factory or, I don't know, a tracker on shipment, the assumption is just that it'll seamlessly jump onto a cellular network, do its thing, especially here in North America.
Mm-hmm.
But have you ever really stopped to think about what guarantees that your device won't just be, shouting into the void?
That is the million-dollar question, isn't it?
Yeah.
You've poured all these resources into developing this amazing cellular IoT device targeting the North American market. What's the actual linchpin that ensures it functions properly on those specific networks?
Exactly. Well, today we're doing a deep dive into something called PTCRB certification.
Ah, yes, PTCRB.
Think of it as the essential validation step. It ensures your cellular gadget can actually speak the language of North American mobile networks. We're going to break down what this certification is, why it's so critical, and what you need to navigate to bring your cellular innovations to life over here.
Yeah, and to guide us, we're looking at a really informative piece. It's titled, What is PTCRB Certification and Why It Matters for Cellular Devices? Came out December 2024, written by Ralph Heredia.
Right, and it's from Zipit, a company that's deep in the IoT connectivity space, so their perspective is pretty valuable here.
Definitely. They're right in the thick of it.
So our mission today is pretty straightforward. Equip you, our listener, with a clear, practical understanding of PTCRB.
Mm-hmm.
We want you to grasp the core benefits, the necessary hoops you got to jump through, and the key steps involved. Basically, consider this your shortcut to getting smart on a topic that's just fundamental if you're deploying cellular tech in North America.
Absolutely essential.
Okay, so let's get right to it. What is PTCRB in a nutshell?
Okay, so PTCRB. It stands for PCS Type Certification Review Board. Sounds a bit formal.
Right, a mouthful.
But what's interesting is where it came from. Back in 1997, it was actually the big wireless carriers here in North America. Verizon, AT&T, T-Mobile, the main players, they got together and established it themselves.
Oh, really? So the carriers set it up, not the government.
Exactly. Their goal was very specific. Create a single, unified way to make sure any cellular device trying to connect to their networks, whether it's a smartphone, a tablet, or your latest IoT gadget, follows agreed-upon North American standards.
So it was proactive. The network operators wanting to keep their own systems running smoothly. Makes sense.
Precisely. And to ensure that consistency, PTCRB certification involves some pretty rigorous testing. It's based on global standards, a key one being 3GPP, that's the international body developing the technical specs for mobile stuff.
Okay.
So the PTCRB process basically verifies that your device meets all the technical requirements for smooth operation, for compliance across different network technologies, 5G, 4G, LTE, and also those specialized IoT ones like NB-IoT and Cat-M1.
Okay, so this certification is really proof that your device can talk the talk on the network. What's the risk if you maybe try to skip this step? What are the actual consequences?
Yeah, that's where things can get messy fast. The article points out some pretty significant downsides. Without PTCRB, you're looking at potential poor network performance.
Like dropped connections.
Yeah, dropped connections, unreliable data, that sort of thing, which can lead to costly delays in getting your product out there. And frankly, serious reputational damage if your customers are experiencing those frustrations.
Oh, yeah. Reputational damage in tech, that's tough.
It really is. And in a worst-case scenario, you could even face network failures that mess up entire systems relying on your devices.
Wow. Okay.
So if a device gets through the certification, it's assigned an IMEI. That's the International Mobile Equipment Identifier.
Right, the unique ID for each device.
Exactly. It's like a digital signature telling the network operators, hey, this device is legit, it's compatible. It's worth noting, though, as the article mentions, PTCRB is the baseline, but some individual carriers might have their own extra requirements on top of it.
Okay, so PTCRB gets you in the main door, but maybe Verizon or someone might have an extra checkpoint.
Sort of, yeah. You need to check.
Now, the article also mentions the FCC. That's another big one for devices in the U.S. How do PTCRB and the FCC differ? They're both required, right?
They are, yes. Both necessary for the U.S. market, but they do different jobs. It's a common point of confusion.
Okay.
PTCRB, like we've been saying, is all about the technical side of things with the wireless networks.
Yeah.
Can your device connect properly? Can it communicate effectively within that network infrastructure?
So network interoperability, that's PTCRB's main thing.
Precisely. The FCC, Federal Communications Commission, that's a regulatory body. Their main concern, for device approval anyway, is electromagnetic interference, EMI, and radio frequency RF emissions.
Ah, okay. So making sure it doesn't mess with other electronics.
Exactly. They want to make sure your device operates safely and doesn't cause harmful interference to other gadgets or radio broadcasts or anything else using the airwaves. Think of the FCC as making sure your device is a good electromagnetic neighbor.
Got it. So PTCRB plays well with the network. FCC plays well with everything else around it. Both vital, but different angles.
You nailed it. Both absolutely critical pieces of the puzzle if you want to bring a cellular device to the U.S. market. You can't really skip one or the other.
Makes sense. The article also brings up GCF. Is that another certification we need to worry about?
GCF, Global Certification Forum. It's similar to PTCRB in its role, ensuring device compliance, but its focus is the European market.
Oh, okay. So PTCRB for North America, GCF for Europe.
Exactly. GCF provides that comparable framework for manufacturers, operators, and labs over there, guaranteeing devices meet European standards and operator needs.
So if my grand plan is to launch my cool IoT gadget in both North America and Europe, I probably need both PTCRB and GCF.
That's very likely yes. If you're targeting both regions, you'll generally need to navigate the requirements for both certifications to ensure your devices are accepted everywhere you want to sell them. They're like regional stamps of approval.
Got it. Different regions, different rule books, basically. Okay, so we know what PTCRB is, how it fits with FCC and GCF. Let's dig into the actual benefits of going through the PTCRB process, besides just avoiding those bad outcomes we talked about.
Right, the positive side. The article highlights some big ones. A key benefit is that PTCRB certification actively works to prevent interference.
Okay.
That rigorous testing we mentioned. It specifically checks for things like spurious emissions, making sure your device stays in its lane, frequency-wise, and doesn't bleed over and cause problems for other communications.
So it helps keep the whole network stable for everyone.
Exactly. Leads to a smoother experience overall.
What's another upside?
Another big one is ensuring the SIM card installation and function are correct. It validates that the device can actually read and use the SIM properly.
Which is pretty fundamental for connecting.
Absolutely. You'd be surprised how often little issues there can cause headaches. So verifying this minimizes those frustrating connectivity problems and just makes the device more reliable out in the field.
Yeah, anyone who's fumbled with a SIM card knows that pain. Okay, what else?
Here's one that's maybe more strategic for manufacturers. PTCRB certification shifts some of the compliance burden.
How so?
Well, instead of every single network operator needing to test every single device that wants to connect to their network.
Which would be a nightmare.
Right, a huge bottleneck. This way, the heavy lifting is done by the PTCRB-approved labs and the manufacturers beforehand. Getting that certification gives the carriers confidence up front that your device meets the standards and won't cause them operational problems.
Ah, okay, so it builds trust and shows the carriers you've done your homework.
Precisely. And one last key benefit. PTCRB helps prevent unauthorized devices from getting onto the networks.
Because of the IMEI.
Exactly. That unique IMEI allows operators to identify and authorize the legit certified devices and, crucially, block access for non-compliant ones. It's a fundamental part of network security and helps maintain service quality for everyone who is playing by the rules.
So it's not just about your device working, it's about protecting the whole network's integrity. Okay, the benefits are clear. Now, the big question. Is PTCRB certification actually mandatory, like legally required to sell in North America?
The answer is a pretty firm yes. The article is quite clear on this. PTCRB certification is absolutely essential if you want to market and sell cellular devices in North America.
Regardless of the tech. 3G, 4G, 5G, IoT stuff.
Doesn't matter. 3G, 4G LTE, NB-IoT, Cat-M1, 5G. If it uses cellular, you need it. Think of it as the official stamp of approval from the North American MNOs and the mobile network operators. It confirms your device has the right bands, protocols, tech, everything needed to work seamlessly on their networks.
So without it, you're pretty much locked out.
In practice, yes. The article really emphasizes this. Without PTCRB, most network operators will simply deny your device access. They won't let it connect.
Wow.
Which effectively stops you from bringing your product to market here. It's not just some regulatory checkbox. It's fundamental for meeting operator demands and, frankly, what your end users expect in terms of performance.
Okay, so it's non-negotiable. The price of admission, really, for the North American cellular market. Got it.